Hey everyone, Thyworm here with a video on how to manage your workforce in Settlers of Kalguur. It might be tempting to hire the best workers available, but is that necessary, or can you get away with much cheaper ones too? Let's take a look. By interacting with Raulf, you can recruit new members to add to your workforce. Assuming you have upgraded recruitment to the max rank, which you should definitely do, you can either use a cheap reroll option or an expensive one. I am always picking the cheap option of 1800. Spending 22k per roll is insane. By rerolling, you keep getting fresh batches of recruits, and picking the right ones is crucial to a healthy economy in your town. Be too ambitious with them and you'll end up overpaying workers for their expertise while not making use of it. And by picking workers that are just bad at their jobs, you keep failing all of the things that you want to do with them. And that's the balance you need to strike. I'm going over all the buildings and give my thoughts on the workers required and how you should handle it. Mining is determined by you, the player, not by the workforce of Kingsmarch. You have to tag the nodes in the map before the miners can mine that ore. Because of that, the speed of the miners is a little bit less important and my miners are often idle. On the other hand, because higher ranked miners mine faster, they spend less time working and therefore also cost less overall because you only pay workers that are actually working. If they're idle, they're free. What I like to do is find a good balance between the ore that I am realistically tagging per hour over an entire day and how much these guys can mine. By using the workforce management overview, I make sure each node has a mining capacity of around 2000 per hour. That is way more than I would tag in maps because I'm not playing 24 hours a day, although it's pretty close these days. So that's 12,000 ore an hour. That is like, 300,000 ore a day. I'm not playing that much. I'm playing a lot, but I'm not playing that much. So this is all that I need. My mining workforce is taken care of. Miners are also cheap, so it's hard to mess this up. Going over to farming. The amount of food that you produce is determined entirely by your workforce, not by you. This means that farmers are a prime candidate to get to max rank because they will produce way more food, which you can then use in shipping. Each higher rank produces about 50% more food, so ultimately getting those 18 level 10 farmers is something to strive for. You're not going to regret that. My workers currently are rank 8, 9 and 10 in here, and on average they produce around 2000 food per hour per farming plot. As long as the treasury is filled, they will keep doing this, so make sure to stock up on gold before you go to sleep for maximum returns. Another small tip for farming, make sure you farm the food that is required to fulfill the shipment orders, so you can get those juicy multipliers. Smelting is entirely dependent on how much mined ore you have, and as long as you keep the pace of the smelters roughly in line with that of the miners, you're good to go. Smelters keep working as long as you pay their wage and as long as there's ore. As you are ultimately the bottleneck when it comes to gathering ore, this has a trickle-down effect on the miners too, and the smelters for that matter. I wouldn't worry too much about smelters. Super high ranks here are not necessary at all. All my smelters smelt around 1k ore per hour for each ore type. If I'm mapping all day, they can't keep up, but once I take a break or go to sleep, they will. The wages of these guys once again are pretty mild as well. Then let's talk about Disenchanting. The main bottleneck here is you again, because you have to constantly resupply the disenchanters with new gear to turn into dust, and for that you have to be online. It would be great quality of life if we could assign stash tabs to get disenchanted over time, but until that arrives into the game, which might never happen, this is all manual labor by you. Because of that, typically having around rank 8 disenchanters is more than plenty. I also find in SSF that you don't need all that much dust. I have over 1 million and I'm only spending 100k per shipment at most. There are diminishing returns after all. I'm doing fine with this workforce while keeping their wage at under 5000 gold an hour, so I can spend that gold on other things. Now it's time to get into the heavy hitters with first shipping. As expeditions on ships are considerably more dangerous than farming wheat, these guys and girls get paid a lot more. You would think. Turns out farmers make only a little bit less for some reason. Higher ranks of sailors means less risk involved with shipments, so if you really want to juice those shipments, and I think there is a reason to in SSF, you want high ranking sailors. Another nice thing I personally like about these shipments is that it is sort of low maintenance. You can send them out, map for 2 hours, come back and there's loot. You don't need to care about it otherwise. These things print currency and gear, or basically all by themselves. And they don't break the bank either, all these shipments. Shipping is a very SSF friendly casual mechanic, and I highly recommend it as soon as you have the basics of your town in place, for which I refer you to the latest video that I did on town building. The money spent on wages is minimal, returns are great, and it's even worth investing in the highest ranks as they are still fairly cheap all things considered. And often ships are idle, meaning you don't have to pay the workers either. To close off this section, there is an amazing video by Ziggy D explaining all of the shipping in detail, including a cheat sheet. I will link all of that in the description. The last category are the map runners, the sweatiest of workers. These guys make a fortune, first of all, so think carefully what you want to do with them. My take on the map runners is that it is primarily designed for players who also run tons of maps, play a lot, and by doing that make enough gold and have enough maps to sustain these workers. Because they cost a fortune, first of all. My workers, who aren't even max rank yet, already cost 8,500 gold per map device per hour. That is well over 25,000 gold per hour, so you need to make that money somehow. Then they need to run maps, which you also have to source one way or another. You can buy some from Kirak perhaps, and maps drop in maps, but unless you're playing a lot, you won't have all these maps for them to run. And then these guys sometimes die, so they need to be replaced, which is a rather painful process. And finally, they complete maps within 1.5 hours or so, meaning every 1.5 hours you need to provide 36 maps, around 40,000 gold, loot and sort all of the returns, like all the stuff that they're getting out of those maps, and likely replace a worker or two. And you're getting spammed in-game by notifications. That is happening as well. All in all, it's very worth getting these runners to the max rank, but it is questionable if for your average SSF player it's worth considering having this at all. If you enjoy it, be my guest and then aim for those highly ranked mappers. I'm currently spending my money on more chill things, and I'll have these guys go nuts as soon as I have a few million to spare and I want to see what these guys can do. It is worth noticing, however, that higher ranked map runners are capable of running higher tier maps without a chance of dying. They can even run tier 17 maps at some point. I am not at that stage yet, but there will be a time I'm going to send half my town to their graves in the ziggurat by the hand of Katarina. Already looking forward to it. So that's it. One final recap. Farmers, max them out ASAP. Miners, smelters and disenchanters, they're fine at like rank 8 or 9. Sailors on the ships, max them out. And map runners, if you interact with it a lot, get those at the highest ranks possible. But be sure that you also play a lot or this is not gonna work. For now, I hope this was helpful. Let me know what you think. I hope you have a great league start here and, subscribe and like for more PoE SSF content. Thanks for watching and making it to the end. Love you all. See you soon. Bye bye.